Last night, Blake Lively broke her silence regarding the Justin Baldoni drama, appearing on Late Night with Seth Meyers.
And there's actually video footage of her pointing like...
Blake Lively is spiraling after Seth Meyers accidentally exposed the cracks in her carefully constructed facade.
I'm afraid to know too much about star signs, but yeah.
It's really hard to watch her now, I can't lie. It is really hard to watch her be this fake person.
Beneath the designer gowns and rehearsed smiles lies a woman who manipulates motherhood and media spin to escape accountability. Not a victim, but the embodiment of elite privilege disguised as empowerment.
I can say without going too into it is that this year has been full of the highest highs and the lowest lows of my life. And I see so many women around afraid to speak, especially right now, afraid to share their experiences. And fear is by design. It's what keeps us silent.
Let's talk about what really happened on Late Night with Seth Meyers in April 2025. Arguably one of the most awkward, overproduced, and manipulative PR stunts in recent memory, where nothing said, relatable woman of the people, less than Blake Lively showing up in a massive white wedding gown fit for royalty, only to change into an entirely different outfit just for her exit.
On this tour that's painting herself as a hero for all women. And it's pretty frustrating how Seth and just Hollywood in general seems to be accepting it.
She walked in as if it were the Met Gala instead of an interview, wearing a dress so enormous it barely fit in Seth's chair, practically swallowing her in layers of fabric that looked dramatic enough to deserve its own segment.
Right out the gate, there's just a level of awkwardness because, yeah, the dress doesn't fit his small chairs.
There are certain guests where I'm like, I really should just go back to a suit for tonight. This is a fantastic outfit.
Your wedding gown?
And for what? To sell the idea that she's enduring the highest highs and lowest lows of her life, delivering a perfectly rehearsed victim monologue with just enough tremble in her voice to seem human, which is deliciously ironic considering this so-called tell-all moment aired only days after Blake was subpoenaed by Justin Baldwin's legal team.
You can't believe everything you hear, you know? And, that's what it's feeling like because there's more evidence and stuff that's painting the picture that Blake Lively's not being honest. And also, what are you afraid of? And what did he actually do?
She's been legally compelled to surrender her texts, emails, and all those behind-the-scenes messages about It Ends With Us. Yet instead of confronting the issue head-on, she's out twirling on late-night television wrapped in chiffon and counterfeit humility.
And of course, she spoke to Seth Meyers beforehand on how they could, they had to mention something about everything that's been going on. And she said on his show that she couldn't talk that much about it.
And let's not forget the icing on this disaster cake. Outlets like Daily Mail and Page Six were already publishing glowing puff pieces about the interview before it even aired, which isn't media coverage, but a carefully planted press rollout. You don't need to be a Hollywood insider to sense the desperation, as Blake's team works overtime shoving headlines into the algorithm like a student cramming an essay at 3 a.m., turning what's supposed to be a press tour into a full-scale distraction campaign.
I also acknowledge that many people don't have the opportunity to speak, so I do feel fortunate that I've been able to.
I don't know what to say. I feel like right now, the people that are most upset with Blake.
Speaking of distractions, let's talk about her and Ryan's full-throttle paparazzi blitz, the two suddenly appearing everywhere, from red carpets and talk shows to conveniently staged street candids of them signing autographs, turning what used to be PR into a full-blown public saturation assault.
And Blake Lively, they're everywhere. We cannot open any website with any entertainment news without seeing them wearing something different in every photo, in every occasion, and posing in front of the paparazzi, signing autographs.
Their faces are appearing more often than ads for sugar-free gum, and that's no coincidence. The strategy is simple. Overwhelm the public with smiles and couture until the lawsuit fades from memory, gaslight the timeline, strike a pose, and pray no one realizes the career in question is running on legal life support.
Smiling, being happy, and feeling popular, it's exhausting. So this is what they're trying to do.
And what does the media do in response? They analyze her wardrobe like it's a matter of national security, with People magazine even publishing 2 entire articles about her outfits, one obsessing over that oversized white gown she could barely sit in, complete with descriptions of its plunging neckline, layered ruffles, and bedazzled open-toe heels.
Of course, she arrived in style in a white gown or dress. White is the color of innocence. I don't think that was a coincidence. I don't think anything with Blake Lively right now is a coincidence.
As if we couldn't see it ourselves, they followed up with another breakdown detailing her half-up, half-down curls, and multicolored drop earrings. Truly groundbreaking, yet somehow managed to ignore the real story entirely, the one involving actual subpoenas and genuine legal accusations.
Trying to overwhelm us with appearances. So all that negativity that they received will be pushed down in Google and on social media, because now it's all about them looking pretty, looking in love.
And let's not overlook the most narcissistic touch of all. Outside Blake and Ryan's upscale New York apartment, someone, gee, I wonder who, arranged for a massive Another Simple Favor poster to hang right across the street. So every time she opens her curtains, she's greeted by her name printed bigger than Anna Kendrick's. That's not a billboard. It's a shrine, a self-made monument to vanity.
A lot more in the movie. She's carrying the movie. So Blake isn't even in it that much. But yeah.
And the kicker? When the movie dropped on Amazon, the backlash was so intense that IMDb actually had to remove reviews. Yes, remove them. After waves of one-star ratings poured in, forcing Amazon to allegedly delay displaying audience scores altogether.
Please stop. Seattle Times is saying the plot is a mess and the runtime is overlong. The Guardian says Another Simple Favor drops threads and drags on, but survives on its self-assured baseline pleasure.
Let me guess what Blake did next. Slipped into another dress and pretended nothing happened. But the critics didn't play along, with the Washington Post giving the film a single star, the Seattle Times calling the plot a mess, and the Globe and Mail practically pleading, please stop. This isn't a comeback. It's a carefully choreographed breakdown in heels.
What's going on? The clips I've seen, it just reminds me that Blake Lively is not a great actress, and apparently Anna Kendrick is a lot more in the.
Now, let's talk about the Seth Meyers interview. Easily the softest softball match since T-ball, where Seth skillfully dodged every real question as if he were ducking lawsuits, skipping any mention of the allegations or the subpoena, and instead spending 5 full minutes talking about ICE.
He just starts awkward out the gate and shows just admits to how controlling this couple actually is.
Emily is a changed woman in this movie. She drinks martinis with ice.
That's very exciting.
Which is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
If you saw the first one, you'd understand why she has beef with ice.
Yes, I was like, yeah.
Do you in life have beef with ice?
No, I love.
Yes, literal frozen water. Seth actually asked if her character had beef with ice, then if she personally had beef with ice, prompting Blake to launch into a Frozen song in a forced attempt at quirky charm, like she was auditioning for kindergarten karaoke night. Ma'am, you're being sued. Why are you singing?
I think the first time we got an ice machine in a refrigerator.
Anyway, they go on a whole monologue about ice. Blake Lively starts quoting and singing from Frozen, and it even quotes our honest trailer, "We are making ice." We did that in our honest trailer. I was proud of that song.
Then Seth dropped the classic, "I'm not fully informed on this case" line, which really means, I know everything, but I'd like to keep my celebrity guests and avoid a lawsuit. And Blake seized the moment to pivot into her trademark sob story about her kids, claiming they're her lifeline and that she has to be Disneyland every day for them. First of all, Blake, you're not Cinderella, and second, between red carpets, galas, and TV sets, when exactly is all this Disneyland-level mothering happening?
It's nice though, because they're honestly, I mean, it's no surprise I've had like a pretty intense year, and like they're just my lifeline. Like no matter what day I'm having, I have to be Disneyland every day for them, and so it's.
They're my lifeline, and then she turned it. You hear how she did that? It's been she sets it up so it's clearly open for now. Seth can bring it in.
And let's not forget the whisper. As the interview wrapped up, Blake leaned toward Seth and thanked him repeatedly, not a casual "thanks for having me," but a desperate flurry of "thank you, thank you, thank you," like someone relieved they'd escaped an ambush, the way a student thanks a teacher for handing out an easy exam, perfectly exposing just how rehearsed and calculated this entire PR stunt truly was.
Oh, they've taken me away. And there's one where you're like, oh, it's so sweet. You can go be with your kids because they don't read all the news and they'll love you. They're unconditional, etc. But then she's like, it's like I have to pretend to go into Disneyland every day. Oh, it's such a chore for me. It is so hard. It is so hard for me, people. Oh, will you please give me more empathy? Because it's so hard being Blake Lively right now, having to go to my nannies and everybody and all these trips where clearly my kids aren't here.
Let's be honest. This wasn't an interview. It was a full-blown damage control campaign with commercial breaks, where Blake arrived in a gown big enough to have its own zip code, dodged every real question, switched into a second designer outfit mid-show, and delivered polished lines about her hard year, while sidestepping the legal chaos of her own making. That's not bravery, it's branding.
The whole thing just starts awkward out the gate, and shows just admits to how controlling this couple actually is.
Emily is a changed woman in this movie. She drinks martinis with ice.
That's very exciting.
Which is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
If you saw the first one, you'd understand why.
The Princess Act is officially unraveling, crumbling one scripted interview, one forced Frozen quote, and one-star review at a time. And just when it seems Blake Lively's performance couldn't get any more hollow, she reappears, draped in a blinding white gown, proclaiming herself the voice of every woman too afraid to speak.
The women who have had the ability to use their voice, that's kept me strong and helped me in my belief in my fight for the world to be safer for women and girls. It's a pretty simple thing, but nothing. Thank you. It's true.
Oh, how noble. Except, wait, what exactly did she speak up about? What earth-shattering revelation did she gift the world? That he smelled her hair, told her she smelled nice, walked into her trailer after she invited him, and then, brace yourself, kissed her, right after she bit his lip.
For all, like I said, for all real victims out there, just watching her sitting up there in her little princess dress, talking about victims, by the way. Someone sent me this video today. I had heard about this incident, that it happened, but I hadn't seen any video proof of it yet. But here it actually is.
That's not a survivor's testimony. It's a poorly written Tumblr fanfiction from 2012, and you'd think that with all the media training, PR handlers, and glam squads at her disposal, she could have at least crafted an allegation that didn't sound like a rejected scene from Twilight.
Think about all these things that she has accused him of, and then she comes on national television to talk about how she is the voice of all these women.
And let's not overlook the real survivors, the women who've truly endured domestic violence, harassment, and systemic abuse, because they're not falling for this performance. They've flooded social media to call her out, and honestly, their outrage is completely justified.
That's the Seth side of it. From the Blake side, this idea that she's now being silenced, that she's the voice for all women, that infuriates me. The fact that she's now trying to become the poster child for standing up. Standing up to what? You had all the control in that set.
Blake turned their pain into a costume, wrapping it in couture, accessorizing it with tears, and parading it on stage like a red carpet look, because there's nothing empowering about weaponizing fake victimhood for clout, especially when it's being used to sabotage someone else's career without a shred of evidence.
I don't know what to say. I feel like right now, the people that are most upset with Blake Lively are the real victims that have actually survived domestic violence and other forms of abuse, and then they watch her sitting there being their voice.
But wait, it gets better. She chose white for her Seth Meyers appearance, because nothing screams innocence like a $12,000 custom-made guilt-free ball gown. Blake didn't just want to talk about being misunderstood. She wanted to look misunderstood, projecting purity while delivering PR-polished sob lines, a masterclass in symbolic manipulation with every visual cue screaming, "Don't question me. I'm fragile."
From these appearances, they're telling me anything. You're not suffering any actual work damages. Working just fine for you. People are still asking for your autograph, showing up at premieres. You're just forcing it down our throat. We're seeing it everywhere.
Meanwhile, she's out here steamrolling reputations and dominating media cycles like a corporate CEO in heels. And don't even get me started on that Time 100 gala speech, where Blake stood before the elite and tearfully recalled her mother's near-death experience, claiming she was almost killed by a coworker.
She, as you know, spoke about her mother and her experience being almost killed by a coworker, that a lot of people now are speculating if that coworker was actually a woman, and Blake never said it was a man, so that might be, which is also one thing that I talked about it before, but I mean,
many people initially assumed she was referring to a man, given the empowerment narrative she's been relentlessly pushing. But here's the twist. It might have been a woman, meaning she's now rewriting traumatic family history to fit a convenient script, casually dropping shock value stories to stay relevant, and completely undermining the gendered victimhood she's been so eager to profit from.
He's strong and helped me in my belief in my fight for the world to be safer for women and girls. It's a pretty simple thing, but nothing. Thank you. It's true.
One moment she's claiming to stand up for women, and the next she's clouding the conversation with a vague horror story that serves no purpose except to draw attention back to herself. Classic Blake. All drama and zero clarity.
I think for all, like I said, for all real victims out there, just watching her sitting up there in her little princess dress, talking about victims by.
While Blake was busy performing moral sainthood, Ryan Reynolds was being his usual fame-addicted self, because nothing says, "My wife is in legal turmoil," like crashing Green Day's Walk of Fame ceremony and hijacking the mic. Yes, Ryan flew to LA uninvited by the honorees and delivered a speech longer than Green Day's own, his only connection being that he once used one of their songs in Deadpool vs. Wolverine. That's it. Yet he still took center stage like he'd just been knighted by Billy Joe Armstrong. But the real issue here isn't the bad acting or the wardrobe theatrics. It's that together they've cultivated a climate of fear in Hollywood, where actual credentialed journalists have reportedly told Popcorn Planet's Andy Signore they're refusing to even touch the story.
Their experiences and fear is by design. It's what keeps us silent. But
Fear is from you. Everyone is terrified of you and Ryan. They are terrified. More on that in a second, but
Why?
Because Blake and Ryan are too litigious. That's the word reporters used, not complicated or controversial, but litigious, which is code for say the wrong thing, and their lawyers will have you sleeping on a courtroom bench by sunrise. And it's not just the press. Streaming platforms reportedly backed out of a documentary the moment they learned it wouldn't portray Blake as a misunderstood goddess. Imagine that. Entire corporations too afraid to back a story unless it's wrapped in Blake-approved bubble wrap. That's not influence. That's a chokehold, with their grip on Hollywood so tight that even late-night hosts like Seth Meyers smile through interviews like hostages reading cue cards.
this is, a late-night comedy show. But he's making it clear at the gate, like, I don't know all the details. But I don't know the details. Just, hello, audience, I don't know all the details. But
I'm thrilled you're not doing Weekend Update right now because you would be quite informed. So it's good.
And don't think for a second this is just about PR. There are real consequences for the people Blake decides to throw under the bus, like the man she's been accusing both publicly and privately, who has essentially vanished. His agency dropped him, and he hasn't been seen in public since.
hard to see what you're really suffering through. Because if anybody's suffering, it's clearly the guy who's now lost his agency, his jobs, isn't out there doing anything. That's the one who's clearly losing things based on your ridiculous accusation.
This isn't a petty spat or a Hollywood breakup. It's someone's livelihood being destroyed in real time, and Blake's camp has no interest in resolution. They're too busy branding every critic as misogynistic, uninformed, or anti-woman. That's their entire playbook. Disagree with Blake and you're against women. Question her claims and you're suddenly the enemy. They're not engaging with facts but manipulating the narrative, weaponizing identity politics and public sympathy to silence dissent. And it's working because too many people are too afraid to state the obvious. This entire spectacle runs on ego, fear, and one giant designer-draped lie.
Something with birthdays.
Okay.
She's the funniest person in the world, but she will definitely rule the world with authoritarian leadership.
Well, that's something to look forward
I
to.
wonder where she got that from. She will rule the world with you heard her, leadership.
So here we are, one half of Hollywood's most overhyped couple draping herself in victimhood while the other freeloads off punk rock milestones and hijacks microphones like an open mic addict, wielding a level of power that's terrifying, demanding a silence that's even more chilling, and somehow still managing to play the victims in the very mess they created.
For all real victims out there, just watching her sitting up there in her little princess dress, talking about victims, by the way.
Page 6, the tabloid mouthpiece of celebrity spin, somehow leaked Blake Lively's quotes before the interview even aired, and you don't need a media degree to connect those dots. That wasn't a leak, it was a pre-planned press drop, with her team distributing polished talking points and sanitized language in advance. Because if there's one thing Blake Lively fears more than accountability, it's losing control of her narrative. Even Seth, who, let's be honest, played along like a pampered chihuahua, teased the audience with, "We wanted to say more, but we gave you crushed ice instead." Crushed ice, not even a full cube. Translation: they dodged the real conversation and spoon-fed fluff, and they didn't even bother hiding it, turning the entire segment into an emotional escape room. $5 empathy served with a side of frozen quotes.
Seems to have a problem with you. Do you have a problem with ice? Would have been funny.
Really,
I really like ice too. I think the first time we got an ice machine in a refrigerator.
Anyway, they go on a whole monologue about ice. Blake Lively starts quoting and singing from Frozen, and it even quotes our honest trailer, "We are making ice."
Let's also talk about the room. The perfectly timed laughter, the robotic applause, the total absence of a single tough question. This wasn't an interview. It was a hostage situation with professional lighting. Seth's role was simple: smile, nod, and sell the illusion that Blake Lively was being brave, when in reality, she was just delivering a meticulously rehearsed monologue designed to flip the script from accused manipulator to empowered woman. And even after being handed the stage, the spotlight, and a glowing applause sign, somehow, she still needed more.
She's so happy that she has this voice. And the worst part was that the audience was really applauding her. Can you imagine being Justin Baldoni and seeing something like that?
And it's the women who have had the ability to use their...
How do we know? Because as she left the stage, thinking the mics were off, Blake leaned in, bowed her head like she was receiving a blessing, and whispered to Seth, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Not once or twice, but 5 times in a row.
Watch this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you catch that at the end? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For real. Thank you so much. Thank you for not screwing me over and making this.
Count them. 5 desperate, breathy thank yous. Not born of gratitude, but pure relief. The kind that says thank you for not shattering the performance. The kind that comes from someone teetering on the edge who knows she barely managed to hold the illusion together.
To ask you about it.
The reality is he is. The beginning of his show, A Closer Look, he talks about all sorts of entertainment stories, everything. Of course he knows. He's just saying that, Blake, to get away with being nice to you. Is how I see that, which is very telling.
But guess what? The internet didn't buy it. The moment that interview aired, the backlash hit like a freight train, with IMDb literally forced to remove public reviews for another simple favor after a tidal wave of 1-star ratings flooded the system. Viewers weren't critiquing the movie. They were protesting Blake, hijacking the ratings like a digital riot and holding the line until someone finally pulled the plug.
It was not funny or engaging is the reality. Even taking away the drama, it was a very mediocre, bland talk show appearance. And the drama clearly makes it more interesting. There's a curiosity factor, etc. And Seth is definitely doing her the solid of playing softball.
And can you blame them? While Blake was crying on cue and singing Frozen, people remembered the actual accusations she'd made, like claiming Justin Baldoni offered her gin in a trailer scene and somehow equating that to real abuse. She positioned herself alongside survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and harassment, all because someone said she smelled nice and kissed her after a mutually charged moment. That's not courage, that's cosplay, and the public was disgusted. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag boycott Blake. Hashtag another simple failure, spreading across Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit in a full-blown roast fest led not just by trolls, but by seasoned entertainment columnists calling her out as out of touch, overexposed, and a perfectly manufactured PR puppet. She's become the living symbol of Hollywood inauthenticity, and the audience is finally treating her that way. Then came the lowest blow. She dragged her kids into it, talking about being Disneyland every day for her daughters and calling them her lifeline, suddenly recasting herself as a single mom in a Hallmark movie while jet-setting, outfit-hopping, and press touring like she doesn't own a calendar. The audience saw right through it. You don't get to weaponize motherhood to dodge accountability. You don't get to cry victim while using your children as emotional armor. And frankly, people are sick of it.
Started based on bringing up her daughters.
Your daughters ever criticize your outfits?
Oh, yeah. No, one of my daughters has the same birthday as Napoleon and Jennifer Lawrence. So if you imagine like those two blended.
Is that how it works? Is that how birthdays work? You blend?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know.
Which brings us to the complete unraveling of Blake Lively's fairy tale brand. This isn't a comeback. It's a public meltdown wrapped in designer fabric, where every appearance from Seth Meyers to red carpets feels less like a triumph and more like a cry for help disguised as a glam shoot. She's not rising from the ashes. She's burying herself beneath tone-deaf interviews, staged applause, and relentless PR overkill.
And Seth is definitely doing her the solid of playing softball, is what he's doing here. So plenty of people are going to be annoyed by him, but he's doing his job. This is what he does. He's getting ratings. He needs ratings.
You can change outfits mid-interview. Blake, cry into couture, and hand out scripted quotes, but the cracks are visible to everyone now. What was once America's stylish sweetheart feels like a hollow performance held together by trembling lines, Instagram captions, and overworked publicists running on caffeine and panic. And as Blake crumbles beneath her own delusion, Ryan's out there making things worse, speech crashing, pandering, and proving he's forgotten how to read the room, which, by the way, has stopped playing along. Hollywood might still tiptoe. Journalists might dodge lawsuits, and studios might fold under contracts. But the public? We're not scared, not silenced, and definitely not impressed by crushed ice interviews, pageant gowns, or performative feminism. No lighting trick or applause sign can unring this bell. The empire of Blake is cracking, and this time, no glam squad or glossy narrative is coming to save her. Don't forget to subscribe and drop your thoughts below. We're just getting started.